Hello, and welcome back to All Systems Go. This is the inaugural episode of actually playing Burning Wheel. So, we are all very excited after a bunch of character creation to dive in. Um, I'm Abby. I'm going to be GMing this campaign. And I have John, Logan, and Sean with me. John, do you want to start with Alphonse? We can go through the beliefs, instincts, and traits of your character.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I go through my life paths as well?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Yeah, so I am John. I'm playing Alphonse. He started off a gifted child and moved from the outskirts of the city with his parents into the inside to be a court page. Um, it was later found that he was augmenting kind of the physical activities with magic, and so he was not invited to continue as a squire. So he finished up studies as a student and then became a professional soldier engineer. Going into his beliefs and stuff, if I can pull open the right page, uh, hard work and long nights is what got Alphonse through training as an engineer, and he thinks the same attitude and resolve will work for magic. He wants to get to know Venus and find out if he's found another ambitious person to climb the ladder with. And his cousin Bertrand is nervous about how zealous he is for the divine architect, the god that he worships. And so Alphonse really wants to win his cousin's trust back and regain an old confidant. Some of his instincts, he's a rabid note taker and doodler to the point that he has to keep fresh pages for his journal like every week. He just goes through them. He always has to have an upper, coffee or harder when he's working on engineering problems, or he dwells for days on the fact that the work could have been better. And he despises disorder. He gets very upset when he's forced to leave it be. And it can kind of range from being flustered to downright bitchy, but he'll get over it eventually, especially if he can fix it. His traits: smart, geometric, rabble-rouser, gifted, practical, passionate, forced smile, and lavish taste, but only for his tools and things he uses to worship the divine architect with.
Awesome.
Alphonse.
Logan,
Yes,
tell us about Venus.
my name is Logan. I'm playing Venus. I was also born a gifted child, like I think all of us were. And then I became a blackmailer at a young age, and then Ganymede, and then a student. So quite the strange life path choice. Um, Bits. So my mother, who sits on the city council, has tasked me with uncovering the fate of the headmistress, and I will find a knowledgeable ally to aid in that task. Um, Mia, so Sean's character, is unusual and without friend. I will determine if she is useful or not. Um, Ezra, my second lover, has begun to doubt my fidelity, and I will convince him that he is mistaken. So off to a great start. Instincts. When confronted with my falsehoods, I double down and deflect. I never wake up in my own bed, and I will never turn down a cup of wine. Oh, let's see. And then traits. Oh boy, there's a lot of them. Okay, so let's see. We have cultural traits. So forced smile, passionate, and lavish taste. From being born
Otherwise
in the
known as
city.
lavish tasty.
I just changed it. And then I'm gifted, catamite, dangerous, and misunderstood.
And
And then I
hard-hearted.
have, yeah, hard-hearted is
Yeah.
down there on die traits.
All good things. And
Everyone's just a mess.
finally, Mia.
All right, yeah. So I'm Sean, and I'll be playing Mia. For life paths, she started out being born a peasant out in the kind of outside of the city, so in the surrounding kind of countryside. She was a farmer, part of a farming family, and grew up learning a lot of that, as well as dealing with a lot of siblings. And then she started to receive visions once she got to a certain age, and becoming an augur. And this also got her outcast from her family and kind of the community. And then she became a crazy witch living in the forest, living her best witch life, receiving visions of the future. And this is also how she kind of tapped into her magical abilities. So she was not born gifted, but strange things started happening to her, and she acquired powers beyond the rest. So she um, is making her way to the city because one of her beliefs is that I've had visions of a terrible catastrophe in the city, and they're incomprehensible to her at the moment. So she needs to find help to decipher them. She thinks the best place to do that is in the city. So
I'm
she's
gonna
made a
interrupt
return.
you, Sean.
Yeah.
I have a question about this. When
Yes.
her visions are incomprehensible, what do you think? Like, what does that look like? What had?
Um, I think in the book, because I have a trait, the trait dreamer is what
Mhm.
gives her the ability to know stuff. And it says they're vivid technically. So I think what that means is that she has like she's there in the space. Like I imagine her like I was thinking almost like she walked through the city and um there were all these people around her, but then they just slowly started disappearing.
I like it.
Um and so there's just not enough context for her to know what that means,
Mhm.
but from how vivid it was and how sort of unusual, like she'd never maybe had a vision like that before,
Mhm.
she knew it was something important. Or maybe it was reoccurring, like the same idea. And then she also kind of just, I feel like, has a sense for things. So rather than just being kind of peaceful, like, oh, these people are gone, but it's okay, there was something like menacing or dark. So she knew it was the wrong state of things. Um,
Gotcha. Yeah,
but
that's perfect.
but yeah, she needs help focusing it basically,
Mhm.
or figuring out, is there a way to maybe almost get another vision that would help her more. She needs more help, more resources from other people with more
Yeah,
experience.
dial it in.
Um, and then my second belief is Alphonse is too obsessed with order. I will show him that chaos is necessary. So we'll see how that plays out. You may lose things. They may get lost. Chaos, come on. All right, and then the last one is I hurt my sister by telling her of one of my visions, and I want to make amends for hurting her.
Mhm.
And my sister is one of my relationships. Her name's Lissa, and she lives in the city with her husband and children. So I know she's there, but she doesn't necessarily know I'm there yet. We'll see how that goes. Then for instincts, I have I mem- I memorize my dreams and visions at the expense of other memories, so she's realized how important kind of what she receives from beyond the veil is, and she's let other things go at that expense. So that'll be fun. Uh, I think she likes to pretend, like she likes to play off like I could be actually forgetting this, and I could just be pretending to forget
Yeah.
this to annoy the heck out of people. Uh, so she's definitely a little trickster. And then because her sort of fortune telling ruined her life, though she does have my fortunes are a curse, and I inflict them on others. She's a little bit of a mean lady. And then lastly, because she had to spend so much time by herself, she has I sing to myself in moments of quiet and to soothe myself in times of stress, which
Awesome.
results from her living in the forest for a while. And then traits are she's her set is different since she's from the outlying uh, kind of countryside. So she has earthen, devout, and folksy wisdom. And then the other traits are hoarding. So she collects knickknacks and she actually keeps them in her hair because she has long, unkempt hair like any good crazy witch. But she's also overprotective of her food and she tries to store excess because I think she suffered a lot of hardship when she was by herself. Disturbed, she zones out and stares into space, as well as reacts to like unseen actions, and so almost like she has hallucinations, both auditory and visual, that she reacts to. And then a little crazy, she cannot stand the touch of dead wood and avoids it at all costs. So anything, anything made out of wood is a big no-no. She can't. It's okay if there's like a barrier in the way. It's not as terrible, but if she has to skin to directly touch it, it is gonna be bad. She
So
might
if-
have a breakdown.
So if she ever has to go through like a door, we're in trouble, right?
She kicks it down. I've already thought about this.
Okay.
She's like, yeah. So she just takes it out, and then vitriolic. She's mean. Gifted, of course, so we can use magic. Dreamer is what allows her to have visions that are truthful, and then touch of ages is a special one where she can touch objects, make a test, and then learn information from those objects. I'm excited to play that out and take advantage of that one. So,
Yeah, cool.
That's Mia.
So I did want to go through some of the general, like, easy rules, like how to roll dice, that kind of thing, because I don't know how much you guys have explored Roll20, and it is a little bit confusing to begin with. So under stats and skills in your character sheet, I've dropped everybody's skills in here. So they should be kind of in the middle there. The B next to the number is the shade of that skill. All of your skills should be black shaded, which is the B. And as you get better and better at the skill, you can lower that, which just means that successes are easier to get. The number means the dice you're not going to be rolling, so you'll roll that many d6s. A 4, 5, or 6 is a success. And then the little dice next to it is what you click to actually roll the skill. So I'm on Mia's page. What does she want to roll? We'll do a folklore roll. So when you click that, it'll ask you for modifiers. So if you have any advantage dice or help dice or anything like that, that's where you add that. Artha is separated, so if you're adding dice from Fate or Persona, you add it there. It's basically separated because Artha doesn't get counted towards the difficulty of the test. So if you add a bunch of Artha, it's not going to make the test easier in game rules. So that's where you can add Artha if you want. And then the base obstacle, which is a number I'll give you. If we're using beginner's luck, is something that I'm sure you guys will be using. It's basically if you don't have a skill open, you have to start learning it, and then you use beginner's luck, which means that the obstacle is always doubled. It'll do that for you automatically. So if I tell you a base obstacle of 2 and it doubles to 4, you still put it in 2 and it'll just calculate it for you. And then you submit and it rolls, and she did really awesome. So
Oh, good job, Mia. 2 6s. That'll never happen again. Thanks for using up all my good luck.
I'm sorry. So that's basically how you do that calculation. Above the skills, there's a spending Artha and earning Artha. Basically, you're all starting with 2 Fate and 1 Persona, which I've included on that base sheet. You can see them next to your character name, and they're also above the skills, tracked in the little bubbles. Basically, the spending Artha tells you what you can use things for. So if you are rolling a test that is not open-ended, which means that you get to automatically re-roll 6s for free, you can spend a Fate after you roll to re-roll any 6s, and if they keep coming up 6s, then you keep getting to roll and you keep adding successes. There's other bits in here. Persona, you can add a dice to a stat or skill test. You have to declare that before the roll. And then there's other uses for Persona and Fate in here that are less used.
Persona was the one where you have to, like, if you wanted to use Boon, you have to declare that before
Yes.
the roll? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
But
only
luck you can use
some of them you
after.
have to do first.
Yeah, luck you use after. And
Okay.
you can use luck on open-ended rolls. You just have to declare it before, and then you add a dice to that roll.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hopefully we won't be
I
getting
will-
into any fights, so we won't have to use any of those wound things. So we're just going to ignore them for now. Because if Mia
Sounds
gets
great.
hit, she's going to die.
Let's see, what else? I think That's pretty much it for rolls. I guess when you make a roll, say I tell Mia she wants to make a poison, so I tell her to roll poisons with a given obstacle. She can then fork in other skills, which stands for font of related knowledge, and each fork that you can make an argument for, like why it would help you in the situation, you get an extra die for. So that would go into the modifiers as well.
Okay. And there's no limit to forks, right? No...
Right. As many as
long
I
as
will
we can
give you,
come up-
you can have.
Right. Everything.
There's also advantage dice. So if in a situation there's a particular reason that you think your character would be better, but there's not a skill related to that, you can try to make an argument for an advantage dice. And we can all talk about it. People can argue for other characters if they want. There's the role-playing side, and then there's kind of a political argument side. So
Oh no.
yeah. No, it'll be fun.
Okay, I'm gonna try and roll a skill real
Sure,
quick, just
yeah.
to make sure I know how to do it. You hit the dice,
Yep.
the die button.
Mhm.
Modifiers. So if this was the case, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna fork in soothing platitudes, and then I also get an advantage die. I would hit a 2 there.
Yep.
And then submit. Artha. I'd leave it as 0.
Yep.
What if I wanted to spend a luck? Would I put a 1?
If you want to spend luck, that comes after the roll. So it's just if you're
Okay.
adding dice to the roll with persona or fate if it's already open-ended, then that's where
Okay.
you put that.
Oh
There you
no. But in this case, I have 3
But then-
6s. I'd be like, I'd want to use luck. And
Yeah,
then I'd
exactly.
roll. And for those, I would just do like roll 3d6, and we would see.
Yep.
Okay.
And so the way to roll individual dice, I think, is /R, and then you say 3d6.
Yeah. So I'd get 1 more. So I would meet the obstacle in that case.
Yep. And if you rolled what
Perfect.
Sean rolled with the other 6, you get to keep rolling them.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I don't think open-ended ends. Or we should decide now if we
No,
want
it
open-ended. Okay.
It doesn't. So you might need to cancel your plans in 10 years if one of us gets lucky.
It goes on forever.
I guess, so if you hover over the successes number, you can see what each individual dice rolled as well.
Yeah.
If you all didn't figure that out already. In addition, in each of the rolls, it'll say routine, challenging, or difficult above where it lists out the number of dice. Those get tracked towards skill progression. So basically, under each of your skills, it tells you how many routine, difficult, and challenging tests you need in order to advance that skill. And once you get that many tests, you get to bump the number from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, etc. It gets
Okay.
harder to advance things the higher up they go because you're having to take on more and more difficult challenges as you go.
Makes sense.
For stats, if you end up rolling like will or fort or power or anything like that, routine tests don't count towards advancement there, just difficult or challenging. And that can be seen in little bubbles. And so basically every time you roll something for a stat, you'll click the little bubble and you'll just track how many times you've rolled. And then once you get
And
to
those
the...
are- Sorry, those
Go
are when
ahead.
we roll successes, right?
No, it's whenever you roll any
Oh.
test.
Okay, good.
It's very fail forward.
I love it. That's so
Fail
exciting.
for it, except there's except for perception, faith, and steel, I think.
I think you're right on faith. I don't know about perception. That could be true.
I'm gonna double.
It may
I
not
think I
come
have
up
a
for a
little.
while.
That tells me. Oh yeah. If the ability was perception, resources, or faith, then you have to pass the test to mark it down.
Gotcha. Cool.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
let
not,
you
sorry,
remember
not
that.
steal. Resources.
I guess that
Which is
makes
why
sense that you don't get better at seeing things if you don't see things.
Right. You don't, see, you don't get better
Evaporate
at
more
spending money when
resources.
you have no money.
Oh, dang.
If only.
Checks out.
Yeah.
For those lucky of us who have 0 resources.
I don't remember how many I have, but that's not important right now.
Well, we don't want to know because it's an actual number.
For any skills that are open-ended, so sorcery is always open-ended, and then I think astrology is.
Yes,
Yes.
but both directions.
Yeah, but both directions. So there's an X next to the number of dice that you'll roll, and you'll want to check that so that it rolls automatically open-ended.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then if you do spend Artha on die rolls for specific skills, you track that in the F, P, and D bubbles here. So you'll just, if Mia wanted to be good at farming and she spent 2 fate on farming, then she just puts a 2 here.
Okay.
And those basically, once you get enough there, that's how you shade shift.
You have to, so like if I wanted to shade shift falsehood,
Yeah.
I'd have to get all of my Artha into falsehood. I
Yep.
can't like, oh my jeez, that's way harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time to start lying.
Yeah, you basically pick one and you have to focus. At the detriment of everything else.
Yeah. Or you can just never have a gray shifted skill, and that's not the end of the world.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah. And then down at being learned, if you do end up needing to roll a skill that you don't already have in your list, you click add and then list out what the skill is. You choose what the base is for that skill. It'll automatically calculate how many dice you get, and then you roll that with a double obstacle. Because it's beginner's luck. And then you track, I think, so if Mia had a perception-based skill that she hadn't opened yet, she gets to roll 5 dice.
Right.
So then at the bottom here, there's, I think, 10 bubbles. So then you get to start with 10 minus your modifier filled in. And then that's how many tests you need to do of that specific skill to actually have it be a skill that you add to your regular skills, and you don't have to use beginner's luck anymore.
Yeah.
When you're
So you have to do it a bunch.
Yes. When you're learning a skill, you can't fork anything in. But I think you can add Artha. So keep
You
that
can get
in
help
mind.
though too, right?
I think so.
Okay. Cool.
You just can't use other knowledge. Yet. I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions on the basic rules? And we'll go through them as we go. I mean, it's a lot, but
Yeah, you covered my question.
cool.
We'll learn as we go. It's fine.
Yeah,
Who cares?
it'll be fine. So I guess we can just dive in. Very nervous, very excited. So
Take us away.
we begin our story with young Mia, the crazy witch. As we talked about, a representative from the college basically showed up in the forest and said, hey, we think you have a lot of talent. We'd like for you to join our forces at, what's the Valley View Conservatory is the name of the magic school.
Wait, say that again for me.
Valley View Conservatory.
Valley View.
Valley View. Yep.
Okay.
And the woman who shows up to basically greet you and convince you to join the college, her name is Stella Bianchi. And she's basically the second in command at Valley View, like this. Yep. Um, there you
Oh.
go.
I can't hear apparently.
That's okay. She's basically second in command under the headmistress, and they sent her out because she has similar talents to their
Ooh.
own. Similar school of magic. So she goes out, talks to you, convinces you to join the forces at the city, and because of your visions and interest in magic, I think, you follow her and are taken there.
Mm-hmm.
The city's name is Orestes. Is that what?
Orestes or
Orestes?
Hey,
Thanks,
hey,
Logan.
I got that one right.
I like the
Orestes.
long E.
Yeah. And so as you arrive at Orestes, you come into the city proper, and the city is kind of in a valley, with a structure up on this side of the valley, and then the big castle up on the other side. And at the end of the valley, as you're walking through the city, you can see the port, and the gully that the ocean opens up from. Um, the city's pretty bustling. There's lots of merchants and sailors and traders, and it's just very bright and loud. Um,
Yeah, I definitely think Mia is overwhelmed.
yeah.
Like, she's probably just like, what? Not used to this. I don't know if she would ever have even been to the city before. Like, she became as she was living with her family and stuff. So she is like staring in wonder, but also definitely scared and probably clinging really close to her guide.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and this city in particular, I think, is a lot like, it's one of the bigger cities on the continent, I think. And there's minstrels playing on corners and people out trying to make a living. And you walk through a colorful market that has all of these different stalls with colorful tapestries like hanging from stall to stall. Um, and as you walk through the city, on one side of the valley, you see a huge structure. And Stella explains to you that that's the castle that the king used to reside in over 300 years ago.
Mm.
And the nobles still live in that castle and maintain it, and keep it up. The castle's name, I'll put in here too, is King's Hill Keep. And it is very prominent on that side of the valley. As you walk through the city, you kind of head towards the opposite side, the cliff mountain, opposite of the castle, and trek up a bunch of switchbacks. And once you make it to the top, you arrive at the conservatory. And it's a lot more modest, I would say, than the castle. It's kind of tucked back into the hills and a lot less obvious from the sprawling city below.
Mm-hmm.
You walk up with Stella, and she kind of shows you around the dormitory, and gives you a tour of the grounds, and then you enter the main building. It's all made of stone, and it's built in a similar time than the castle. So it kind of has the same stonework vibes going on. But they did build it a lot more practical and less flashy. It doesn't look like the esteemed magic school that you've been told about on your travels.
Well,
Send her
yeah,
back.
I definitely, she's gonna hone in on that then. Probably like sees it, is like confused, then walks, like Stella's like does very dramatic like door opening, like welcome, isn't it nice? And then Mia's just like, oh wow, this is kind of lacking.
And it's not that it's not like it's well kept and there's some decor. Um, but it's definitely more toned down. Probably to avoid drawing too much attention from the city. Um, but it does starkly contrast to the castle across the way. As you enter, Stella kind of like guides you in the doors, and points to the different classrooms and tells you kind of what you'll be learning here. And another woman and a man kind of rush up to Stella, um, and kind of pull her to the side, and she's like, "Oh, I'll come back. You just stay here."
Oh.
And at this point, there's some students gathering in the main hall, kind of eager to greet the new student. It doesn't happen so often. Magic talent, especially that the school would take pride in and go seek, is fairly rare. So the arrival of a new person is always an exciting time.
Yeah, I think she's pretty off-putting though. Like she's dressed in rags. Like I said, her hair is super long and ratty. There's things just poking out of it because she's hoards stuff in her hair. So there's just like scraps of crap all in there. But sure, they want to greet her.
I think that lends itself more to people at least gathering, maybe not so much interacting with, but you kind of hear whispers around you, and Chester the squirrel kind of crawls out of your hair and runs away, and somebody's like,
No,
"Can you
Chester.
believe it?"
Mia like scampers after Chester for a little bit. Like she's already forgotten and does not care that Stella told her to not move, and is like starts running after the squirrel.
I imagine she's on all fours, like trying to catch it with her hands.
Yeah, easy. She's learned it's much faster if you're on all fours.
Makes sense.
It's you're smaller too, so the squirrel's not as frightened. Anyway, I'm sure Chester gets away though. We'll find another one. We'll meet again, Chester. She kind of just, and I think she stands up and looks around, and I think, well, let's see. Can I make like would it be perception or observation? I want to see like if Mia can tell if there's anyone within the like throng of students who looks important enough to spend time with.
Sure. Let's do. Let's see. Let me pull out the skill list.
Our giant skill list. Or is yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Just go up and start like touching each of their faces.
Yeah, no. Maybe. Oh, yeah. She kind of like walks over to them. This is how she's investigating. She's like, she walks over and then she kind of like maybe gives people a once over and then does like a little like.
Yep. Checks out.
Like sniffs
Oh my
right
God.
in their face before passing them along.
Let's do perception then. That sounds good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I cut
Oh,
out. I think.
sorry. Let's do perception.
Let's just do perception.
Yeah.
Do you have a keen
Okay.
sense of smell or fork smelling?
No, I'm not forking anything. We're just rolling.
Let's see. What's the ob? Oh, is perception not actually a skill? Fantastic.
It's a stat.
Oh, gotcha. Well, it's more fun to do observation, so let's do that.
Well, I don't have observation, so
Well,
we got to do fancy stuff and
you couldn't
consider it
pick the
learning.
first roll to be a skill you already know.
um,
No, what's the fun in that?
Actually, I think perception does make more sense. Observation is more to spot the hidden, so it's a versus against like inconspicuous, stealthy sleight of hand, and there's nobody particularly hiding. So let's do just perception. Like, what are you trying to get?
I'm trying to see if there's anyone who looks more. I don't. I think I'm like looking at their bearing. Like, does anyone seem more confident? Does anyone seem more in charge? Are the students like, She's kind of intimidating. I mean, she's 28, so she's somewhat
Oh
sure of
my
herself.
god.
Now that she's
Are
out of like,
so old.
now that the city isn't around her, like she's lived in the forest by herself. She can leave here whenever she wants. So she's like seeing how do people react to her. Like,
Gotcha. Yeah, let's just do ob 1 perception test.
oh yeah, let's ace this.
Oh boy.
Base obstacle 1. A
Nice.
5 rolls, only 2 successes.
2 sixes though. Pretty good.
2 sixes.
Spend a fate.
I should luck it for no reason.
So yeah, you're going up to people, kind of eyeing them up and down, giving them a sniff to see if they smell more authoritative.
This is a skill I've learned from Chester. The
Yeah,
sniff.
and you walk up to Venus, if you want to describe yourself.
Yeah. So Venus is you can tell the clothes he wears are very finely crafted, and they were definitely really nice when they were bought. But it's been a few years probably since they've been bought. I think when you come up to him, he's in sort of like a low argument with another fairly attractive student just across from him. He sees you, and his attention really definitely focuses off. Like the words this person is saying are just passing through him. It's like very dismissive. And then as you like come up and smell him, almost he's just like, Ezra, we'll talk later, and just sort of like pushes him away. Definitely takes a while to look you up and down. It's just, my, you are unusual.
You know, I really do try. I think she like picks you apart a little bit too. Like you mentioned, your clothing aren't kind of as well made, and she actually has skill in weaving. And so I think she starts to like touch you, like not touch you, but touch your clothes, like just a little bit, like gently.
It's okay.
Kind of...
Venus is used to being touched.
Yeah, I don't even flinch. I've been touched by much worse than you.
Yeah, and she's like a little impressed by that. That you, you seem to like while she's inspecting you, she's kind of like, you seem to demand a lot of attention for one who is wearing these hand-me-downs. What's your name?
As I would hope you know, he looks you up and down. One's clothes is not indicative of their being. I would hope you would know.
A fair point. But I forgot the meaning of presenting on the outside a long time ago. I'm
Clearly.
Mia.
Venus, do you want a new set of clothes? I'm sure we could do something with this. You have a nice appearance underneath this dirt.
I appreciate it, but I'm good, thanks. But I do need a little help around this school, I guess.
Yes, it is a school. I look around. Is Stella like anywhere to be found?
No, Stella is gone. There are a
disappeared.
couple of professors kind of like hanging around I imagine you guys are like in a great hall kind of scenario.
Mhm.
So there's a couple large long tables in the middle, and then there's currently like two professors kind of standing near the exit doors, just kind of watching the student population. And it seems like most people are here. Um, I don't know,
Most of the student
Alphonse, where
body.
would you be? Yeah, most of the student body. Do you think you're?
Alphonse is definitely there. Because it's like you said, like their newbies come by so infrequently that you got to size up the new potential competition or friends.
Friends. What are
I
friends?
don't, I don't know. Does magic school grade on a curve? The answer to this question determines how friendly he is to start off.
What a typical engineer.
I know.
There's no grading, but if you mess up, you might die. So.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's the curve.
Okay, so he's friendly with most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do
Uh,
see Alphonse, you've noticed Venus, and taken kind of an interest in him recently, and you see him talking to the new weird girl.
Non-sexual interest. Want to point that out.
Yeah.
It all begins that way.
Well, okay.
They all think.
I'm pretty sure Alphonse is asexual, but we'll get there. So I guess I see this going on, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, well, that's a really interesting way to greet people. And I'm going to make it super, I guess not obvious that I'm seeing this interaction, but I'm definitely watching, and I'm definitely not hiding it.
Okay. Do you want them to notice?
Not necessarily. I think if I don't interact with Mia right now, it's one of those things that I think Mia is going to notice me eventually.
Okay. Sure.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you
think
wanted if you wanted people to notice, then that would be a conspicuous role. But if you just want to hang out, then
Oh my god, do I want to make a roll? I kind of do that. Sure, let's make it obvious.
Make me notice you.
sure.
I'm just gonna strut around in like my grays and tans.
So what exactly do you want Mia and Venus to notice?
I think actually what I'm going to do is I will have been writing in my notebook either general thoughts or I'm sketching the newbie, and like I'm
That's
gonna make
not
it,
creepy at all.
I know. Maybe okay, fine. Maybe not sketching the newbie, sketching something, and I'm gonna like noticeably shut my notepad with like a little snap, like a book snap.
Yeah.
And tuck it under my arm and kind of walk over.
Sure. Do you want to
Okay.
make a Ob 1 conspicuous check?
Yes, let me pull that up. Oh my goodness, this is terrifying.
And I think Venus is just like going around the room and pointing at everybody and telling you their name. And just like something that is odd that Venus knows about them. Just like he's trying to show off.
Right, right. I think Mia's like vaguely interested, but she keeps getting distracted. Like she
I'm
likes.
taking a long time.
Yeah, she keeps getting distracted, and she like keeps trying to be like, "What? but can't like get a word in
Yeah,
edgewise."
because I keep talking. Yeah.
Okay. Conspicuous is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I put it into the being learned because I don't have this skill.
Oh no.
And I'm seeing that it is a social skill type.
Yeah, so it's rooted in will.
Okay, perfect. All right. In which case, okay. Since I don't have Twitch up, are you also looking at my character sheet?
No.
Okay, cool.
I can if you want me to though.
Riddled with mistakes.
I would feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'll look.
for the
Conspicuous.
first
Yep,
feel.
that looks right. So
Cool.
then you need 6. The 6 here is how many tests you need to actually learn conspicuous.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yep.
But I can roll.
But you can
what I
roll it
have.
and then set the base ob as 1 and it'll double it to 2.
Awesome. I have no modifiers. I have no Artha to spend. Face off 1. No complications.
There you go.
Ooh.
Nice.
Cool. I have been noticeable.
You are very
Notice me, senpai.
conspicuous.
I think I like pause on you and I'm saying, and that's Alphonse. And then I just like I can't think of anything that I know about you.
That's
Yeah.
accurate.
That gives you enough time to like
But
actually
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll hold out a sleeve to you because I noticed you were doing that to his clothes.
Yeah. Oh, and Mia, yeah, I think Mia takes it. She's like, she snips you,
I will
Uh,
smell like basically wood and
Coffee.
maybe like metal and like coffee
Yeah.
or something harder, but probably just coffee.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah. So she takes in that scent and is like, okay, reasonable. Maybe the tang of metal isn't to her liking, but she lived in a forest, so wood is always a good way to go.
I mean, if you think about it, the wood that I would smell like is dead wood.
Yeah.
True, but she can't tell that it's touching.
That's true. That's true.
Until she touches you with her nose.
And then she apparently kicks my face, so.
Yeah. And then she does. She kind of touches your sleeve a little bit, and
just-
like picks at it, and she says, "Alphonse, nice to meet you. I'm Mia."
Nice to meet you, Mia. Is this traditional where you're from? I say with my hand still outstretched.
She's kind of like, there are no traditions from where I come, since I'm from the forest. But sure, if it makes you more comfortable. And then she just starts picking at more, like, you just held out your sleeve, but she starts picking at the rest of you to try and see, like, if she can make you uncomfortable. And to see if you, like, crack under pressure at all.
No.
Feel like Alphonse is very used to being under pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, granted, this is entirely different from what he's used to, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, well, this stranger just told me they're from the forest.
You could have seen the squirrel come out of my hair, so.
I probably did. I don't know.
Good old Chester.
Yeah. So, and then I think, so she finishes with that, and she seems to kind of like cock her head, listen to something that's obviously not there, nod, and kind of is like, yes, yeah, you're right. And then she looks at both of you and is like, this will work. Now, I appreciate you pointing everyone out, but I'm not really here to make friends. So, I need help. Did they explain anything about why I was here? Yes, no? Probably
Like
not.
to us?
Yeah, like, does the student body doesn't know anything about me.
They knew you were
No,
coming,
you are
but that's
fresh
about
meat.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say also point of order just on the sheets. John, you'll want to mark a dot on your conspicuous roll that you made.
Thank you.
Yep, but that's it. Continue.
Mark those
I see.
dots. And so she's, I think she asked, what fields of study are most common at this school? I'm here for information more than anything else.
I mean, it's a school, isn't that what it's for?
Venus, you're so insightful. It really astounds the mind. But fine. If I must put it in simpler terms, what are you studying, Venus?
I study the art of persuasion, but with a magical aid. Some people study more primitive means of magic to inflict pain on others. I can do that another way. Sort of like winks.
She's like, okay. Alphonse.
I've been studying the ways that magic can interact with the body and the outside world.
Okay, interesting. Well, you won't be any help. So,
All of the subjects are important.
of course, we all say that, don't we? am assuming you both are from the city. Are you born from here?
I am.
Yes.
And you are not?
Not.
She just said she was from the forest, Venus.
There's some trees in the city.
She could have been from one of the parks.
Like three trees.
There are
Did you
great
travel
parks
far
here.
to get here?
Relatively, a couple days, but nothing too strenuous.
Venus, Ezra's just kind of like hovering over your shoulder.
I'm totally ignoring him. Like,
Of course, yeah.
Do I notice him?
Yeah, he's there. I mean, he's just like he's trying to get into the conversation, like join the circle, and it's just not working. Like Venus is shutting him out, like subconsciously every time he tries to get in.
Okay, so wait. How much would Alphonse know about Venus and Ezra?
Very little, I would think. Venus,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty private.
yeah, no.
Okay.
I
How mu-
am not. I can't announce that I'm off the market.
Sure, of course. I guess individually, how much would I know about either of them? Like, have we all, with the exception of Mia, been here for a few weeks, or?
Ooh, what would be? Let's see. Is there like a knowing people skill?
It would be like student wise or something.
Yeah.
Terrible. Use a wise of some kind.
Wise.
I think Venus has been here for quite a while.
And
Oh, right. 'Cause of
you
your
have a
mom.
reputation too, right? Venus, or do you have an affiliation?
Oh, geez, I have one of those. I have an affiliation with the prostitutes.
Okay, so you don't necessarily know about that, depending on if Venus like publicly announces that on a
Sure.
regular basis.
Or if I perhaps purchased some of his time at one point, but definitely not.
No, I'm not a prostitute.
Oh, you got it. Associated with them.
He just knows their ways.
Yeah.
I am really trying to find a wise for how well I would know Ezra, and I'm not finding it.
The
think you would
wises
have
aren't
to
really
make one
listed.
up.
You just sort of make them up. I don't think you're proficient in Ezra wise.
I'm not proficient in Ezra.
I don't
and
think you
don't
can
wanna be.
learn a wise either. You can't.
Oh, you can't learn
Yeah,
one?
I don't think so.
Um,
I think you can practice and learn, like get them in practice
Oh.
time. But I don't think you can just say like, I want this wise, because they're pretty
That makes
powerful.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Why don't
Um,
you just make like a perception test, and depending on how well you do, that's how much you'll know.
Okay, cool, yeah. One?
Yeah.
Cool. No modifiers, no modifiers.
Pretty good.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you've seen Ezra around. He tends to hang around Venus, occasionally, less recently for some reason. But only
Aw,
marginally
guy.
noticed, like barely noticeable in the difference.
Okay.
He's pretty quiet.
I took those as two separate adjectives.
He's pretty and quiet, yes.
Okay, same.
Exactly what Venus looks for in someone.
Okay, I think as long as I see him like trying to get into the circle, I'm going to at least pretend to assume that it's because we as a group haven't been open, and so I'm gonna nudge over so he can get in.
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna like fill that space subconsciously.
Oh my goodness. And then I'll say, "Oh, Ezra, are you trying to get in? This is Mia."
Yeah, I think Mia does look at him for a moment and is like, like he's behind Venus, and so Mia kind of like tilts her head, looks over Venus's shoulder at Ezra, and is like, "Hello, nice to meet you. Bye."
Oh, Ezra, I didn't know you were still here.
I was just
Didn't
talking
you have-
to you, Venus.
I know, but weren't you running off somewhere? You had something, didn't you say that?
Oh, did I?
No, I think you did. You were worried about a test or something. Don't you have a test coming up?
I don't think so. Why? Maybe I do. I need to go check. And he.
I would be very concerned if you forgot about your
Dumb too. Pretty quiet and dumb.
That's Ezra. And so he turns around and kind of leaves, and he kind of waves at you, Mia, as he walks away.
Aw.
I think she. I think she wants to see the city. I think Mia wants to see the city and is like, and wants to get to know Alphonse and Venus, because she can tell they're kind of players. Like definitely Venus, and then Alphonse had the gumption to like come up to her, so she's like, okay, he can come along too.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I think so. Mia kind of is well. Now that that's taken care of, I might need a little help
And as
getting
you
acquainted
say
with
that,
the city.
you say I might need a little help, and you're interrupted at the front of the entrance hall where like the podium is. Stella comes walking out, and she kind of claps her hands and amplifies her voice, and she says, "Attention! I need everybody's attention." And the whole student body kind of goes silent. There's murmurs. Venus, you know, there have been rumors of the headmistress being sick or not. Like, people haven't seen her recently. But that's about all of the rumors that you've heard. Your mother has had greater concerns, which she has informed you about. But that's pretty much all the student body knows. But as Stella approaches this podium, she says, "I need you all's attention. There has been a great accident. As many of you know, we've had a couple of disappearances in the city as of yet. But we fear the headmistress, and what's her name? Sophia, has gone missing as well. Nobody has seen her in a few days, and we have tried to send word to her, and she is not been responsive. So at this point, we have to fear the worst has happened. I tell you all this so that you can help the school keep this under wraps, as it were, until we figure out what happened. So I will need all of your patience for the next couple minutes." And she kind of turns around and joins another couple of the professors. They kind of close the doors, exiting the Great Hall, and start casting a spell. Do any of you want to do anything as they're doing this?
So wait, does it seem like they're casting a spell around the school?
They're casting a spell on the student body that's in this room currently.
Whew, okay, I'm gonna like make my way toward the door that they just went through.
Uh-huh.
It's closed, right?
Yes. There's two professors standing next to those doors, and they closed them. And it's two male professors, so they're kind of standing there, like, guarding the exit.
So there's only one exit.
There's the exit, and then you can also, there's, like, two smaller doors on the opposite side of the Great Hall. That's where Stella entered. And there's the professors that are casting the spell are, like, in the center of that, and then there's two standing next to the doors down there as well.
Can we tell based on what they're doing what kind of spell it is?
Why? Let's see. What would be a good test for this? Does anybody have like sorcery wise? Because that would be perfect.
No. Nope.
I have sorcery.
Yeah, right. I had so little options with my skills.
I think Mia is nervous, and she is definitely edging for whatever door is farthest away from people who look like they're guarding it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and maybe she like whispered at Alphonse and was like, because Venus, I guess, already walked away, and she was like, just a little head nudge, and is kind of like, let's go.
Mhm.
uh, yeah.
Alphonse, if you want to try to figure out what they're casting, let's do like a perception ob 3.
Oh boy, I'll try it. Okay, option. I okay. So they had said something about this trying to keep things quiet, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and so I'm going to, as John, make a guess that if this were to fall under any of the actual like subcategories of magic, that this is going to be something like a trait which is secretive, or uh, I guess a hinder to speak, maybe.
Sure.
I don't know that that really nets me an advantage though.
You can have an advantage. They did say pretty much what they were going to do, so that does help.
Right.
So it's
How menacing.
Great.
it's mod one, right?
Yep.
It's, okay, mod one, and then you said ob three.
Yep.
Cool. Roll this. Oh no,
Oh.
that's fine.
So you do not know what spell they're casting, but it does seem to be coming along fairly quickly.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Is the door that Mia needs to go through wooden?
Oh God.
It's made mostly of wood, and it has like metal trim and metal handles.
It has metal handles?
Yeah.
Okay. She, at this point, I think she just bolts
Okay.
for that door, rips it open, and flees.
There are the two guards like standing there trying to prevent people from leaving.
I thought you said there were side doors.
There's no side doors, just the back doors and then the one big front door. Yeah.
And I'm at the big front door.
um,
Is,
you know, honestly, I think she just does it anyways. Like, she is not.
Cornered
She doesn't care about social expectations. She's not here to make friends, particularly. She is like, noping out of this. So yeah, she wants to try and get out, whatever
Okay.
that you think that would be.
How is she gonna try to get out? Is she going to try to like force her way through the door, or
Oh,
is she going to be like try to be stealthy and like sneak back to one of the back doors and just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here."
you know what she's gonna do? She's gonna cast an illusion on herself
Ooh.
for one test.
Sure.
So part of her school's magic is illusion, and so she's gonna cast. She's just gonna cast an illusion on herself. I think it's just gonna be. Do you think like invisibility? Do you think that's okay for a illusion? I guess.
Yeah, so
Or
illusion is a versus test between sorcery and the victim's perception, with
Yes.
the attendant double obstacle penalty. Um,
yeah, it's a little complicated,
yeah.
but so I'll roll, and then my successes become the obstacle penalty, or
Yep.
become the obstacle for the guards, and I get to double my amount of successes.
Well, you still you have to still make your sorcery check first.
Yeah, I do.
Because you want to
But if it's
do you want to do single target just on you, or do you want to do it on Alphonse and Venus as well?
nope, just me.
Okay. So
that's okay.
what? This will
Self-
just be ob 1.
One ability for one test.
Yep. And you're basically just turning invisible and then trying to slip out the door.
Yep.
Cool.
If need be, I'm willing to like create a random strong gust of wind.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll.
Yeah, go for it.
No modifiers, no Artha. I think I have to have a base obstacle of Well, I can do 0 apparently. Hey.
Oh man.
Wow.
So let's see.
So then they roll perception against an op 2.
Yeah, and their mental pool is 7. And will is what you, so we'll do like, their perception will be 2. I think that's fine. So their ob is 2, correct?
Yeah, the obstacle is my amount of successes. Times 2 because I don't know why.
For some reason.
For some
It just
reason.
reminds you to make sure they have a double penalty.
Yeah. Illusion, pretty good. Okay, submit. Race obstacle 2. Uh-oh.
Oh.
So, in the midst of the confusion, I think one of the professors guarding the door, you cast your illusion, become invisible, kind of go behind them, and they're trying, Venus is standing there trying to get out too, but he's being a lot more open about that. So they're like going up to him, and they're like, no sir, we need you to stay in here, like, this is like a state of emergency, and da 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 da. And as they're having that conversation, you slip behind them out the door.
Yeah. Cool.
Venus and
are
Alphonse. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there windows in this hall?
Oh.
Yes.
How high are they?
Fairly high. I would imagine they're like the big, like small square panes all lined up, and very tall. So they go like along the side of the Great Hall so that lots of light trickles in.
Okay. I'm hearing that they're maybe a little too skinny to fit my character through.
They're pretty small, yeah.
Okay. The height I wasn't too worried about.
Okay.
Can I... So there's really no place to conceal yourself here, right?
Right. I mean, there's the like tables and long benches, so if you wanted to hide under a table, you could, or something like
What
that.
about is the podium occupied?
The 3 casting this spell are kind of back behind the podium, so it's not. There's nobody within 10 feet of it, but they're
okay.
within eyesight of it.
Fresh idea. Since we're either going to try bolting or doing something ridiculous, can I start like talking to any of the students near me who are still like have their wits about them and try to figure out a way that we as a group, like a few of us, can better resist whatever spell they're trying to cast, like do a group hinder?
Sure, yeah, that
spell?
sounds cool.
Okay, and so I don't know if I would need to use my rabble-rousery trait for that, but like that's what he's talking to these people. He's like, this is an abuse of power, this is chaos, this is disorder, we didn't consent to this. These
I
are
will
teacher
say
decisions."
most of the student body seems to be not freaking out a ton. Like,
Okay.
they're pretty much keeping it under wraps. There are, I mean, you don't see Mia anymore, so that's kind of concerning.
But can we all tell that they're trying to cast a spell on us?
You can't tell.
Okay.
I mean, they're obviously casting a spell, and you know they're casting a spell on you. But some of the less hard studying students might not be able to recognize that at a glance.
Okay, in that case, then yeah, I want to be either like using my talking skill, using whatever rabble-rousery thing to explain to people, like, hey, here, like, are you catching those words that are in this spell? Are you seeing those hand motions they're doing? Like, here's what they're trying to do. Here's why it's wrong.
Cool.
We need to shield up.
What is a good skill for this, friends?
I think it's actually a sorcery versus sorcery test. Because you can use art when you use art magic to resist other magic. It's a versus test for sorcery.
I'm so glad you guys know the rules.
Or you could make it a skill. I mean, you can do all sorts of
I was
stuff.
thinking if Alphonse wants help with this, like he wants to
Oh,
get other
yeah.
people like resisting it.
persuasion.
You think? Yeah,
Yeah.
persuasion.
Oh. Okay.
So persuasion's on 287.
Alphonse is just learning all the new skills.
Apparently. What an idiot. He took talking instead of persuasion. Or no, sorry, that's reading and writing.
Okay, and
Oh.
so it's the will exponent of the intended victim. Is the ob. So
Ooh.
let's add another character, and this will be just a generic student. And let's see. Also 7.
That's going to be hard because it's also got to be double.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be a difficult test.
Probably going to be impossible.
I'm
Oh,
willing
jeez.
to try it.
Oh, these are swapped. Cause is perception what you use for sorcery, or is it will?
It's
Perception is for
perception.
sorcery.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I will roll this. Okay, so it's
Ooh.
ob 6.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Okay. And this is for the persuasion or for the magic?
For persuasion.
Okay.
You can do the magic yourself, but you're trying to
Okay.
get their help and like get the general population like in this with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So in that case, it's persuasion, and I'm learning it.
Yep.
And that's will. So I think that's
And the
will.
base ob you should put as 3, because it'll
Okay.
it'll pre-double it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, persuasion's will. Yeah. Okay. Now, really quick, I want to make sure I don't leave out anything. Does my rabble rousiness help?
No.
Okay, that's good. That's great. I love that.
But at
okay.
the end of the session, you can say, "Remember when I was a rabble rouser?"
That's fine. Okay, so I put 0 modifiers, 0 Artha, and the base ob is 3, and it will double for me.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I believe in you,
0 additional complications, right?
right?
Okay.
Oh god.
No, that's about as bad as it gets. One to an ob 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
make
not
sure you
pretty.
mark a persuasion test.
Yeah, we're gonna get that marked.
While Alphonse is like making a scene trying
Yep.
to get people, if I wanted to cast the spell on the professor,
Uh-huh.
what would, like, without being seen, what would
Right.
I do? Would that be like inconspicuous?
Sure, yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Or sleight of hand, I don't know. Sleight of hand's probably more for taking stuff than not
Yeah.
being noticed, though.
Like, I'm just trying to, like, I don't know, quietly do it, I guess.
Yeah, inconspicuous works. What are you casting?
I want to give him the trait gullible.
Stellar.
Fantastic. Okay.
Okay, so I
So
click
let's
this
see.
little.
Inconspicuous.
Or I guess yeah, you have to tell me the.
Yeah, that's. So you like hiding in the crowd, I guess, to be inspeaking?
I mean, I'm just sort of like, look at that over there, Alphonse, and then taking like a step back out of there, like.
Okay, rude. Actually, no. When we talk about this later, if Alphonse notices this or remembers it, he's going to take it as a, oh, you thought I was a capable person.
Okay, so
course.
inconspicuous is tested against observation. Um,
Is this my inconspicuous?
no, this is Venus is
Mine.
inconspicuous.
Okay.
You're below this guy's station, so I'm gonna give it a +1 ob.
Woo! Oh wait, +1 ob.
Yeah, so he'll
That's happy.
roll observation, and then it'll be +1 of that. So let's see. And this is on one of the guys guarding the door.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
This is gonna go so.
This needs to.
Casting a spell on a professor, it's gonna work just fine.
It's all in a day's work.
Yeah, really.
And then observation is based in perception, correct?
Jeez.
So
Yeah.
we'll just roll this as is.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's
Not
just
terrible.
2.
Yeah.
Okay.
+1, so ob 3.
Ob 3.
Yep.
Okay. So then, let's see. I don't think any of my things I can fork, really. Unless it's an ugly tooth that Alphonse is making a big scene.
I was like, yeah, I mean, you could maybe advantage from having a scene, Alphonse kind of making,
Oh, yeah.
making a scene.
I am trying to draw attention.
Does that give me advantage?
Yeah, that works. You can get an advantage die, and
Okay.
I'm thinking you might be able to fork in extortion.
No. I don't. No, I'm not trying to get anything.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to just do something quietly. Okay, Artha 0, base ob is 2. No, 3.
3.
Oh boy! No!
We had such an opportunity.
I know I did. Great. Okay.
So mark that routine test,
Woo.
and you begin to cast this spell. And the guard at the door is kind of like, "No, sir, you need to stop." And he comes and he grabs you. At this point, I think the professors at the front finish their spell.
Oh boy.
And when we come back from our break, we'll figure out what happens.
Killer.
So we will be back in 10. See you soon. And we're back. So,
Woo.
jumping right back into it, what I keep forgetting this lady's name, Stella.
Stella.
Stella. I came up with her name today, so that's why.
Stella Bianchi or something?
Yeah, Stella Bianchi. Which
Is it because?
Bianchi? It has an N in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's casting a spell on us.
Yeah, so her and the 2 other professors at the school finish their chanting and kind of make the hand gestures to finish the spell. Alphonse and Venus, if you would like to try to resist the spell, you can roll sorcery versus their sorcery.
I would.
Absolutely. The name of the resistance spell that I want to try is going to be Existence Embodied. So you kind of turn off parts of your brain and you're just really in tune with your breathing and your pulse and the things that are going on in your physiological self.
Nice.
Wait, are we casting a spell? Like, can I name this and get something?
Sure,
Or are we
why
just
not?
they're rolling it against us? Oh,
I
jeez.
completely
Okay.
forgot about that rule for my illusion spell.
Okay, I'm gonna name a spell that like wards you from other spells that specifically like target you mentally or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna name it. I did not consent to this.
Sure, perfect.
Cool. So those are both +1 modifiers for each of us, right?
Yep.
What's the
Okay.
base op?
Whatever they roll. So they have sorcery 5, because that's what Stella's would be.
That's
Jeez.
fine.
Not the best a human can be, but pretty darn good.
Does she have help though, technically?
Yeah, so she has help, so that's a +1. Plus, they were doing it, I think, carefully would be the one that they were doing, because they're like doing it in a group and taking
Mhm.
cautions.
Are they not doing it quickly?
They're not doing it quickly. So I think 2 modifiers. Yeah. And that'll be it. Base obstacle 0. Okay, so you need
Oh.
to beat 4.
It's so unlikely.
Or maybe
that
tie
it's
4?
possible.
I'm not sure how versus tests go.
Wow.
Oh, I rolled on a 1. That's my mistake, but
Oh, but it's still not
Close.
enough.
yeah. We know that the ob is 4.
But
So
y'all
close.
both get difficult.
Is that what it would have
uh,
been?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
How can you tell if it's difficult or not?
Yours says
It's right under
difficult
the
under
roll.
sorcery. John didn't set his ob to 4, so his says routine, but he had the same number of dice, so his would have been
Okay.
difficult as well.
This is such a nifty tool. I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. So they finish casting the spell. You both brace yourselves, but are not able to withstand the spell's effect. And they were casting trait, and
Ugh.
the trait is evasive, specifically towards information about the headmistress.
They could have just asked
Interesting.
me.
Because you're so
Okay.
trustworthy.
Right.
Evasive. Is that in the book?
Yes, it's just a character trait
Okay.
Okay.
Evasive about.
about
What?
the headmistress and
Oh,
like what
God.
happened.
For how long?
And I think I did for the adventure.
So basically forever.
So
For
basically a
all
long
intents
time.
and purposes.
And Stella finishes casting the spell with the help and kind of like falls to her knees. Energy obviously like taken from her in the effort of doing the spell on so many people. And the 2 guards at the door open the doors up and they're like, "You're free to go now."
Thank you.
Mia's like, I don't know, like she's found her way around into a hallway, so at least she's not in the like main view of everyone.
They open the doors and here's this person.
She's just outside, like, yo, what are y'all up to? No, she's kind of she's definitely moved herself to not be visible. Once the spell has, because the spell has worn off probably by now.
Was Ezra still in that room, or did he leave?
No, he was there.
Ooh.
He kind of left into a corner and then like confusedly looked around and then forgot what he was looking for and like got in
Oh
another
my
conversation.
God.
This poor soul.
What a-
I'm gonna go find him.
Okay. He's pretty easy to find. He's just like standing there talking to some female student, I think. And they're
I'm
like,
gonna, like,
"Whoa,
walk
wasn't
up.
that so weird?"
Gonna walk up, like, sort of like touch him, and be like, Ezra,
Oh!
come on.
Is it time to go?
I just walk away.
He
Very
follows
upset.
you.
I I'm gonna find Venus actually and say, wait, we were supposed. Wasn't Mia starting to say something she needed help with?
She was. Where did she go? Look around, don't see her. Well, I hardly believe that she could blend into this crowd, so.
Well, we can try the hallways.
No, obviously not.
I mean, is everyone else just staying in this room? Like, would it look weird if we just immediately left?
No, people are trickling out now. Like, kind of, there's whispers and murmurs of conversation about like how strange this all was. But people, I mean, people aren't necessarily. They're evading the actual topic.
Right, yeah.
What? Who would have thought?
um,
I think Mia is making her way back to the group,
Mhm.
but she just didn't want the teachers to see her just standing there and then open the doors, and she's the only student who's not in the group.
yeah, that
Right.
makes sense.
So she's kind of like crept out from her hiding spot now that she can see people are leaving, and so she's sort of. You can see by her big bushy hair, she's made her way back to the crowd. And she's gained a pebble, by the way.
Pebble.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, so she's going to start making her way over to Venus and Alphonse again.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, there she is. You can see her hair.
Is that her? I don't know if that's her.
I've never seen anything in such disarray.
Oh, I have.
And then I think once she gets close enough, she's like, so is that normal?
Do we remember? Like, we remember that we were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it normal?
Yeah, no. I look.
It's definitely not normal.
I look.
No.
But also, you know
Beyond
why they
this.
did it, so it kind of makes sense.
We know why. We just can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I look beyond pissed and I say no. It's not normal.
Mm-hmm. And so she doesn't have the effect on her.
No.
I'm assuming. And she's pretty clueless about like the city politics. So she's like, so I mean, it's the headmaster, but like, is that a big deal? Like, I don't.
What
At
about
this
the
point, it like
headmaster?
dawns on Venus that she's not affected by the spell,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, you know, like just complete demeanor change. Like, Mia, you know, you have so much to learn about the city. Come, let's walk. And then I completely ignore Ezra again, like sideline.
Ezra's like, oh, I think I have a test, and he walks off.
So convenient.
He always has a test. Mia, I don't know. She like is kind of weirded out by why you're so friendly suddenly, but like she's not socially adept enough to really. So she's like, yeah, I do, and I need your help. And she kind of, I guess you're not. Or Venus wasn't like inviting Alphonse along too.
I mean, I'm not uninviting him.
I am marching alongside. 'Ause
You're
I
inviting
will-
yourself.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will either say or have said, yeah, you said you needed help with something.
Yes.
Yeah, what was it you were saying?
I think she kind of notices. No. She doesn't notice you're avoiding the headmistress yet. And so she, it's like, well, before all that crazy stuff happened, and I'm one to talk. I need guidance around this city. I think she's also trying to be evasive about her like full motives.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want people to know she's had visions, though. She's starting to like piece together that the headmistress has disappeared and her vision involved people disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I'm looking to ply my trade. I'm a bit of a fortune teller in my spare time, and I was wondering if y'all knew anything new about where they tended to gather, or where the sort of soothsayers of the city live. or just show me around. I don't fucking care.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have city-wise.
Yeah, you would have a much better shot at that.
Yeah, so if you want, you can use your wise to inform upon the city where the fortune tellers do dwell.
Mm, yes, the fortune tellers, those
You
strange
do have
folks,
to make a roll, though.
You have to roll
You have
before
to be
I can say
successful.
what it is. Okay. Let's
You can say what you think it is, and then you'll make a roll, and then it'll get altered if you fail.
Oh, jeez. I think that the fortune tellers would probably... They're not in, like, the nice part of town, I'd imagine. They're, like... I think they mostly stick down on the docks, and, like, soldiers come up and I'm like, oh, am I gonna have such a nice voyage? And they're like, I don't know, pay me and I'll tell you the sky will be clear or something like that. Like, what am I, a weather woman?
The spoiler
Obviously.
alert being with them probably are weather witches.
And what's the ob? Do I just make it
Just
zero?
do like ob 1.
Ob 1.
Yeah,
Wow.
Nice.
awesome. Yeah, so most of the fortune telling business in this city does have to do with like sailing, and helping like the trade people make it through the gully safe, like predicting the weather, telling them like they'll have safe voyages, or if they'll have a dangerous voyage, like to hold off on setting sail for another couple days, stuff like that.
Okay.
And I think that there is like a reputation with the weather witches and fortune tellers in the city that they're pretty reliable. Like people trust them.
Okay.
I'd imagine they'd be like more like spirity magic.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but they don't practice the arcane quite like us. They are. They do some spirit work.
That's fine. I mean,
Or even like practical magic, maybe like something like that, where it's less. It's not so flashy. It's just like they're born with a gift,
Mm-hmm.
and they can just do this like with cards or something.
right. Yeah. She's like, I'm not concerned with sort of the magic or the mechanics, but I need to know the area. Unfortunately, I'm low on funds, and who would have thought? But
A woman who lived in the forest low on funds, yeah. No one
living
would
in
have
the
thought.
forest isn't a way to make money these days.
But I've
So
heard it's fulfilling and a good way to write a book.
very zen. If
Do you-
you would be willing to join me, I'd appreciate the company.
Which of us
I
are you
would love
talking
to.
to?
Both of you.
I'll be joining, yeah. Of course.
I can't talk to two people at once.
I have ulterior motives. I just want to make sure.
All right.
All right,
Dennis?
so
Yeah, I said yeah.
Okay. Perfect. She like gestures for you guys to lead. Just, I don't know where
right.
we're going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
I'll,
We'll walk out of the school
yeah,
unaccosted.
unless Venus is like taking the lead with this, I'm just gonna start marching off.
I'll let you march forward so that I'll like not hang back, but like I'll walk next to Mia.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
Oh.
absolutely pointing out things as we're going along, fully unaware that you guys are like having the actual conversation.
Yeah, Mia's
So,
not
you
really
have-
listening.
You have visions. Is that what you were saying? Or fortunes?
I have visions. That's a strong term for it. I just seem to have good luck with the cards.
Interesting.
Hey, is there anyone else in the school that you know of who possesses a similar skill?
Do I know of anyone like that?
Do you want to make a circles test?
Sure, I do.
I would love to help if I were actually listening in.
Sure. Yeah, you can take a help die. I
Um,
need to find circles in this book though, so don't roll it yet.
Good old
Okay.
circles. So complicated.
So complicated. Ooh, circles and brief. That's what I need. 3d7. Okay. So we'll do. You're looking specifically for a fortune teller.
In
Yeah.
like someone who's like, yeah, a mystic.
I'm
in this-
asking if there's anyone else in the school who is known to have done fortune telling or has visions. I mean, whatever the school's got. If they're a full blown prophet, I'll take it.
Okay. So, circles is always base op 1. I'm gonna say it's an uncommon occupation. Because Venus, you're using your student circle.
Yeah.
So within the students, it would be an uncommon occupation. So that makes it op 3.
Okay. Op 3,
Yep.
and you are helping me, Alphonse.
Yes.
Can you help people with circles?
Sure.
Okay.
If with circles, yeah.
Base op 3.
And Alphonse also has students, so I think that makes sense.
Wow.
Ooh.
I do have student. Yikes. We don't know our classmates very well. No, we do. That's just uncommon.
No,
Venus
I
has
have
never
not.
been
I
considered.
haven't heard of anyone with that gift. Maybe it seems.
So
rather impractical.
obviously, the best way to handle this is to do enmity clause. So,
Do what?
Venus, you definitely do know somebody that does fortune tellings, but you had like a terrible breakup with them, like recent-ish.
Man.
But they're the only person you can think of that would be like the right person for this.
Wow.
No, I don't know of anyone with that.
So proud of you.
I'm lying though, like so. If you want to try and discern that,
Straight up lying. Yeah. Wait. What would I use to
I
see
think-
through these lies?
Venus
Oh,
needs
versus?
to do deception versus your will. I'm pretty sure.
Or he's got falsehood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what falsehood. I don't think
Falsehood?
deception
Oh,
is a
his
thing.
falsehood's good.
So let's see. Falsehood versus will.
Jeez. I don't want to fork in anything.
Let's see. So Mia
You
rolls
want to fork in
first.
everything.
Mia rolls
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Can
can
I
fork in
fork in
persuasion, Venus. Like that's
Ooh.
like a fork that it just says you can do. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
No. Okay. There's nothing I can fork in. It doesn't matter. Okay. So will.
Yep.
Let me roll. Oh, I don't like how this works. No modifiers. No Artha. Base obstacle. I'm just gonna put it at 0.
2.
So op 2.
Dose.
Woo!
Great. So yeah.
Yes.
All right. Mia's like, okay, fine.
I know nobody with that skill.
Well, it is rather uncommon and probably not as well practiced among the academia.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's
Yeah.
not very practical, so we don't really focus on it.
It's practical but unpredictable.
About the skill that's about predicting things.
Yeah. Sometimes they are spot on, but you just have no idea until afterwards.
Well, Alphonse, sometimes we have to deal with the unpredictable, and life can be unpredictable. So I'll take my chances. Burn.
Sure.
All right,
Yeah. So we're gonna keep, I guess, walking along until we get
chug
there.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's the church of this blasphemer. There's the church of this blasphemer. You're catching a lot of like religious.
Mia's
stuff to
like,
I'm
what
saying.
is this dude talking about? What blasphemers? Blasphemers, whatever the word is.
That Athena, you know, she's a real bad cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
I guess I probably wouldn't actually trash talk any of the other gods. I would just say, oh, that's the Temple of Athena. That's what.
Yeah.
That one's Poseidon. The sailors go there.
Hmm. Um. Okay. So then, let's see. So I guess Mia wants to build like a relationship or a reputation among the fortune tellers.
Mhm.
Trying to figure out mechanically what the next step is. Um.
So I'll probably have you roll circles to find like another augur.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So because I do have fortune teller or
wise.
fortune telling
Yeah.
wise. Uh. Oh wait, but I don't think you can fork in
I
skills
don't
for
think you
circles.
can either.
All right, what's my circles? Bad. Okay.
You mean you don't have a lot of circles?
And let me find that circles thing again. Where was
Or
it?
can I do a linked test?
Sure. Yeah. What do you want to do a linked test with?
I want to do a linked test of fortune telling wise.
Mhm.
Like, so we get down to the docks or kind of the shipyard area, and Mia is kind of like looking around, keeping her ears out, listening to her, you know, voices
Mhm.
to see where they're leading her. And I think that she knows about fortune telling. She has an inkling of like who's telling, who's faking it and who's like actually maybe kind of pulling on something real.
Mhm.
And so I that's what I want to do is like she maybe, especially because she has a tarot deck, she's kind of like she knows that the real fortune teller, crystal balls, whatever, that's total sham. But if people are doing cards, then for whatever reason,
Then
she
they're
believes
legit.
they're legit.
Yeah.
Who cares if they know card tricks? It's all in the cards, though. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the angle I'm going for to help with her finding a fellow augur of some kind.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's. So go ahead and just do like a. We'll do just an one fortune telling wise check,
Cool,
and
cool,
then that'll
cool.
link into your circles.
All right, so it doesn't do anything. Sad.
Sad. That's okay though.
At least it didn't subtract from my roll.
Yeah, that would have
Okay,
been
so
bad.
now I'll make that circles
Yep.
test. Oh yeah, what do you want the ob to be? That
It's
might be
one
way out of my.
because they're the
It's just gonna be.
same life path as you and same station.
Oh,
All that.
okay, cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
Do I get a bonus for going over
Um.
the ob? Because I know for some stuff there is sometimes.
Okay, so I don't think you get a bonus for going over the ob, but you can give the new contact a legitimate and appropriate name, and then you get a 1D advantage for tracking them down in the future.
Cool. Okay. So, yeah, I think I think this is where
Oh, in order to be able
Mia.
to name the contact, you have to exceed the obstacle of the test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. And that was a routine test for me.
And
Okay.
in that note, or you can fail the test and have the enmity clause invoked. So Logan, if you want a 1D finding advantage for your bad breakup, you can give them a name, and then there'll be a person that you can track down.
Wait, what was that?
Since enmity clause was invoked, which is like when you fail
Yes.
circles and then it's a bad relationship. If
Yeah.
you want the same 1 die advantage for tracking them down with circles in the future, you can also name them.
Oh, yeah, I'll name them. August.
Perfect.
Ugh.
August. Nice. All right. Let's
So who do
see.
you end up finding, Mia?
So I think, I think she's kind of taken the lead now that they're actually down by all the soothsayers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, maybe Venus feels comfortable, but I feel like Alphonse wouldn't be super uh, at ease. And she kind of looks around, sees what's going on, finds someone who also is using cards,
Mhm.
and oh, I like this. So she the person already has a customer or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So Mia kind of just stands there and to the side watching for a little bit. The customer like moves on, and Mia like slides into the seat and kind of looks at her, and the lady's all like, "Oh yes." And I think there's like a glint of recognition, like maybe this person can also tell that Mia's so weird
Uh-huh.
that like there's got to be something special about
She's
her.
like, "Oh,
Uh,
yes. This is a special
this is a
child."
good one. So the she's like, "My name is Vivian, young child. What can I help you with today?" Um, and Mia goes, she's kind of like, I, I think she wants to like try and convince Vivian that she's also an augur, so she like maybe asks for her deck of cards and
Uh-huh.
is like, uh, I will show you something, and then I seek to be maybe like your apprentice almost, or like your acolyte
Uh-huh.
to some extent.
So
Um,
Mia like slips into this seat, and Vivian like picks up her tarot cards and like starts dealing them out for Mia. And then Mia like, "No, no, no, no. Let me do this."
yeah. She's like, no. She pulls out her own deck of cards
Uh-huh.
and is like, no. What can I tell you today?
Yeah, and Vivian's like, "Oh." And then she picks up her cards and she's like, "Please show."
Yeah, and so I think Mia just fans out all the cards in like a wide arc
Mhm.
in front of her, and says, and then draws like three different cards before pulling them, handing them out, um, and then proceeds to read her fortune,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. I think she does one pass, like I don't know, like a fact that no one else could know, like, um, you've suffered multiple miscarriages in the past. I see children that have been lost to you.
Mhm.
The present is like now you're stuck, unable to move from this fortune telling, and then the future is travel. I see you leaving eventually
Yeah.
once you gain enough funds. You seek a new land, a new place to ply your trade, and this
So
like
Mia
rings
is,
true with Vivian.
yeah, she's trying to be convincing
Yeah.
and like using her fortune telling in a way that, I mean, is true. So I think you
Mm-hmm.
need to do a fortune telling wise check.
Another fortune telling wise check.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your I mean your goal is just to have her like recognize you as one of her own and like take you in and share information with you, right? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think
So.
if you fail, I mean, it, if you fail, then she just like it doesn't ring true with her, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, that's a good trick. Like, come back when you've had practice."
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll take it.
Okay, let's make it
Um.
ob.
Do we want it to be fortune telling wise, or can I also have omen wise?
Ooh, I mean, you
And
can
can I
just
fork?
yeah, you can fork one into the other.
Okay. I'll fork omen into fortune telling
Okay,
wise. I think.
let's make it ob. What would this be? Where are wises? Let's see if it has any guidance.
They're rough either way.
309.
Let's see. I wonder if there's anything else I can fork in.
Oh, you should definitely fork in astrology for sure.
uh, I thought about it.
Do away it.
Then I have to make it open-ended and stuff. Let's see. Okay, let's go wild.
You roll the astrology dice separate.
Yeah.
I roll the forked die.
Just
Astrology
astrology
separate.
gets rolled separate because it explodes backwards.
Oh, okay.
So you have
It's
to
like
be
you'll
able to
roll
tell which one.
and you'll roll just like another extra die using /roll.
Okay, yeah, sure. So then I'll still do fortune telling. Well, you have to give me an ob.
I know. I
Come
think
on.
it's gonna be ob 2.
Ob 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was without,
Right.
and then we're doing 1d6 of.
Nice.
Oh, I
You
need
made
it.
it. The stars are aligned.
I looked to the heavens momentarily
Yeah. So you
before
say
making my decision.
you say all these personal facts about Vivian, and she's just like sitting there watching you, and she's like, "Mia, please come inside."
Please come into my humble tent.
And kind of beckons for you to enter, like through the tent flap.
Yeah, she does. She
Cool.
is in there.
I want to follow her in, just like, and just make myself not really seen. Like, just
Okay.
like, yes, I walk in and then I just like am not the attention, so no one really notices me.
Do like an inconspicuous ob
man.
3 or something.
Inconspicuous ob 3.
Yeah.
Logan,
Okay.
this is going to be a problem because Alphonse wouldn't have necessarily the social skill to know, maybe we should wait outside. So he's going to follow you in.
That's fine. I mean,
Okay,
if you
good.
draw attention to yourself, that's affect me. Ob 3.
Yeah.
Dang it!
Jeez.
So you try to enter, and she's like, "No, not for you."
I just kind of give both of you looks like, go do other things.
Mm.
I'll be out in a moment.
Think she can make it back to the school by herself?
She'll try.
I think she'll be fine. Is the tent just like a normal tent?
It's like I imagine it's very like carnival colors, and it's like a circular tent with a little top.
Okay, I'll just sort of like walk around the side and then I will cast what's a good animal that has hearing? Probably like, I don't know. What's an animal that has ears? I'm blanking.
Dogs.
Yeah, dogs.
Owls?
Or
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Owls.
Owls are probably
Owl
the best
ears.
ones.
I will cast owl ears on myself.
So creative.
Which is what? Just advantage? Is that what?
I was just gonna give myself like the trait, like good hearing
Keen
or
hearing
something.
or something.
Keen hearing.
I think the trait has to be one of the character ones in the book. But we are due for a break. So we'll take a break, and you can look into what trait you want to give yourself.
Jeez.
And then we can sort out what happens in Vivian's tent when we come back.
Mm.
Goodbye. for the final section of our first episode. Over the break, we kind of discussed what Venus wants to do as Mia enters the tent with Vivian. So as they disappear behind the flap of fabric and the tent closes behind them, Venus, what are you doing?
I am going to cast an advantage spell on my perception. And I'm gonna name it like Snoopery.
I hope that doesn't get the advantage.
I don't know. It's pretty bad.
I'm gonna name it like heard, not seen.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah, I like that.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
I like it heard not seen like transfers some of your eyes capacity to your ears, so like
Yeah.
you
Oh,
lose
like you're
some.
blind for
Yeah,
blind for
yeah.
a little bit, but you hear well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do 2 advantage die.
Yep. So that's ob 3,
So ob 3.
and then it's self 1 ability and 1 test. So those don't add anything. So it's just ob 3.
And then can I spend a fate now to add a die into it?
Yep.
So I put, when it says Artha value, I put 1.
Yep.
Okay. Wait, is that, yeah. And then base ob 3?
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be so upset if this doesn't work.
I will laugh
Oh
so
my
hard.
goodness.
We were so close.
Perfect.
Good job. Yeah, so you kind of walk around the tent, cast the spell under your breath. Your vision goes dark, and your hearing capacity increases enough to give you two advantage die on your check to listen in on Mia's conversation.
And I think I don't even need to do the linked entry-wise now that worked.
Okay.
So I'll
I mean,
just
you
do...
still can if you want.
I mean, but I'm also blind, so...
That's true.
So I'll just not do that. And then I just roll perception, like a normal thing.
Yeah, let's see. Does it give... I think it gives, like... I need an ob for that also.
Yeah.
Types
I was
of
like, yeah,
things.
what's Alphonse doing through all this?
I am definitely watching with disapproval at snooping, even though I definitely look curious too.
You
It's
can
like,
ask
I
him
really
for
want to know. I really want to know, but it's not my place for just listening. And if at all possible, I want to be trying to pay attention to see if you are doing magic.
What does it look
to pay
like when
attention to
Venus casts a
Yeah.
spell?
When Venus casts a spell.
Yeah, what does it look like?
Let's see. Did we decide which one was the better of the 2 types of like visual or somatic versus verbal?
What did we say?
I feel like
We
we
just-
talked about doing both until we reached a certain point and then dropping to one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
I don't know. I
most
think
people have to use both.
right.
Okay. So, I guess when Venus casts a spell, it's like one hand like covers his eyes and the other like cups his ear.
I love it. That's cool.
Yeah, and I think unless Venus is trying to hide it from Alphonse,
Oh, it's
You can
very. It's
tell.
like it's.
Yeah.
I'm
Alphonse,
not
yeah.
trying to hide it.
Oh
Like,
my
what's
gosh.
Alphonse gonna do? Report me?
yeah. The description of magic, I think, is that it's always very distinctive. So,
Yeah.
unless you're actively trying to hide it, everyone knows you're doing something weird.
Okay, I'm thinking about this actually.
You could evoke, you could knock the whole tent down.
Oh my god.
I was literally thinking about like either attempting hinder or What?
Ooh.
I don't want to knock a tent down, but what could I do?
You're hindering me?
Considering it,
Why? You just
he's
said you want to learn what it is.
well, yeah, but he's still very much like this is not like this is for Mia to share with us.
Oh my god.
So
But
lawful.
I don't think I'm gonna do anything because one, I don't want to upset. Like, my character doesn't want to upset your character.
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe what you learn will still be useful to me. But I do look very disapproving.
I don't see.
Noted.
Okay, I
What's my
think
ob?
it's Ob 3. That's listed as an act
Oh.
you can accomplish if you concentrate. So
Jeez.
I think
Jeez,
that
that's
makes
so
sense.
low.
You say
Oh,
that, watch as you fail.
That would
Okay,
be fun.
good.
Nice.
Good roll. Yeah, so you are able to listen in on the conversation.
Perfect.
So Mia, Vivian leads you into the tent, and on the inside she's got like some little like lights, but they flicker like fireflies, and they're like lining the top of the tent, and everything's very like purple and gold and gilded and nice. And she has, I mean, this is where she sleeps. It looks like there's like a cot, and there's like a couple sitting chairs, a small table, and then like a little oven or fireplace that she
Yeah.
can cook her food at. So she kind of gestures to the sitting area, tells you to please sit down.
Yeah, I think Mia nods her head and kind of looks around a little bit, kind of picking at things once again because she just can't help it. Like she's trying to be on good behavior, but like she's still like a little bit like just touching stuff before she finds a suitable spot just on the ground, straight on the ground.
The chair's made
Uh,
out of wood, so you wouldn't want to sit
yeah,
there.
she's obviously avoiding anything wooden to the best of her ability. And then I'm assuming Vivian's like maybe 50s or
Yeah,
so, even
I would
older maybe. I don't know.
mid-50s, I think, is how I
Mid
picture
50s.
her. Her
Okay,
hair is kind
sure.
of like very gray and kind of poofy, and she has it back in like a little ponytail, and she's just kind of like hustling and bustling around her little area, and she's like, "Tell me your story."
Okay, and so Mia's kind of like, I have come on a journey from beyond the city. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. But as I just showed you, I have knowledge beyond that of a regular person, and I'm
Would you
worried the
like some
city.
tea?
She says yes. I would love some tea.
And she goes over to her little stove and like puts some water on, and she's just moving around the whole time you're talking to
Right.
her.
Yeah, busybodying. And so Vivian is kind of urgently like, I know something terrible is happening or going to happen to this city, and I need help deciphering what it is. I've had dreams that tell me something terrible is coming.
You say
And
something terrible has happened to the city. She's like walking around. She stops and kind of looks at you and nods and then keeps going.
um, I need the help of someone with more knowledge who's been doing this for longer than I have. Someone like yourself who's very experienced to help me decipher what's going on. Um, do you think you can help me?
She kind of finishes making the tea and gets 2 teacups and like sets the platter down in front of you, sits down on the ground next to you. She's like, "Tell me specifically what you've seen."
So I have had this dream many times, each a little different. It's as if I'm walking a different street, a different part of the city. But every time it starts full of people, teeming with life, everyone going about their business without a care. And then everyone freezes as I can't stop myself from walking, I keep going down these paths. And then one by one, they start disappearing, slowly at first, almost so that you can't tell, and then rapidly, as if they're just dissolving into nothingness. And it's not a peaceful quiet as these people leave. They have no emotion, they don't show any changes, but I know that once they're gone, they're not coming back. And I can feel the city dying around me.
She sits there, sips her tea, and kind of contemplates for a minute. Can you make just like a ob 1 persuasion test?
I would love to try. All right, that I do not have.
Okay.
So
Open
we'll
it
add
up.
to being learned persuasion.
And this is basically just to get her to like take you seriously,
Mm-hmm.
like this is
All right.
actually an omen and not just some other
Yeah.
dream.
Can I fork in omen wise then?
You can't fork in
Oh, we can't.
yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you can't fork skills into that. Okay. So it would normally be ob 1, but we have to make it ob 2
Yeah,
because
but
it's
you
in
can
the
still, if you
skill.
put 1, it'll automatically double it.
Oh, it'll automatically double.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay.
And Venus, you did spend it.
Oh no!
Oh no!
My rolls have come back to haunt me.
Oh, that's such bad luck.
All right.
So,
I can, as Mia finishes saying this and looking at Vivian,
Yeah.
she can tell. She just feels that she, it hasn't struck home.
So she's kind of like nodding as you say this, and she thinks about it and sips her tea. She's like, this, I have not heard of other fortune tellers predicting the same outcome to the city. I am not sure what it would mean either if that were true.
Well, she kind of, I think Mia like tightly smiles, and this is like the immediate turning point. She's like, "It seems you are of no actual use to me, Vivian. Thank you for your time, but I'll leave you little petty peddlers of your little fortune-telling trades to go mire in the filth of your own disbelief. And when you disappear, I won't go looking for you." And then she storms out because she is all about that ugly truth.
Oh my god, Venus loses it.
She's still got the teacup though.
Oh, nice!
She's taking it with her.
She like ties it in her hair.
Yeah. Like, very angrily is like loops it through the handle and is like, "Argh." And then just kind of like storms out, grabs Alphonse by the shirt and starts grabbing, like pulling him after her. And I think Alphonse maybe couldn't hear the first part, but definitely heard the second part.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You seem upset.
Mia just like looks at you like, yeah, duh. Let's go.
What happened?
And then kind of pushes you in front to try and like lead her back, and she's like, nothing of import. These people are too foolish and tied up with their own petty concerns to realize that things are afoot. She
Things
hasn't
are
even like,
afoot.
she's completely forgotten Venus.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's fine. I'm not. I didn't catch up.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely leading you along back to the school, but I'm also definitely going slower. I'm definitely like, okay, things are afoot. Yeah, but things are always afoot. Like, we're a massive trade city. We're not, chumps that people don't want to steal or something.
Alphonse. She looks at you very condescendingly. How old is Alphonse?
Alphonse is 27. How old is Mia?
28.
This is gonna look like a
But
ridiculous conversation.
close enough that she wouldn't be able to tell necessarily you're younger than her.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, but still, she looks at you witheringly and is like, Alphonse, of course, there are things afoot in a city at all times. But I want you to think about the past 5 hours and the fact that you were just told. She kind of like leans in because she knows not everyone is necessarily supposed to know this for whatever reason, even though she doesn't understand. The headmistress has disappeared. And then leans back. And then suddenly, all of your teachers cast a spell on the entire student body that you said was not a normal occurrence. And even I can tell that from someone who lived in a forest. So I think we have bigger problems than stealing things.
I mean, one of those isn't. I mean, one of those problems really isn't worth discussing.
Alpha, she
It
like
is really, really not okay that they cast a spell on us, but the why is really not.
she like
you know?
holds. She literally puts her hands up to your face, like forces you to look at her. She's definitely shorter than you, by the way.
Like pulls it down.
She like grabs your face, forces you to look down, and she's like, "You are avoiding the problem here. People are disappearing. That is not normal under any circumstances."
Well, you have a good point there. Quick question, actually, for Abby,
Yeah.
and it is. So I will be evasive about talking about the headmistress's disappearance. Would I be evasive about talking about having a spell cast on us?
No,
Okay,
that was not the
Okay.
target of the spell.
cool. Yeah, then I'm still actually pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna latch on to what you're saying, or what Mia's saying, and say, you know what? Yeah, that's a good point. It's really not okay. I don't know if there's actually a law that says they couldn't have cast that on us while we're their students, but
Mia's patience has like dropped through the floor. The moment you said law, the moment you were like, "There's a law against this," she was like, "I'm done."
I'm saying I'm
All
not
right.
sure, but also that I know people in the city guard that maybe we could talk to about it.
She does kind of. That brings her back a little bit. She's like, the problem, if it is unusual that they cast a spell on us, the problem could be in the school itself. Who's this city guardsman you know, and are they trustworthy?
I know. I have not named this person actually.
What?
I know. I'm a terrible player. What rank would this person be? I ask of the group. It is, I want to say, moderate importance.
Was it to the head of the
Do you have another
Militia?
relationship?
No, so it's not a relationship. It was a
Affiliation?
Affiliation, but we talked about it being at the council level.
Right.
Oh.
So, speaking of the city guard, I did determine who all's on the council, and then the city guard usually refrain from voting, and they send a random like city guardsman to every council meeting, like,
Oh,
and do like a rotating shift, because nobody likes
Okay.
going.
Nobody likes going.
right. If they don't
So
even
there's
vote,
no
that's
like
the point.
specific person.
Okay. Is it literally anyone of any rank?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Ooh, I
It's
think that's a bad
basically
idea.
it's basically they're sending a secretary, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
go learn what they're all talking about. We don't care if you contribute, like just sit there and take notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
God. Okay.
And that's why they usually don't vote, because they're very not qualified.
Disconnected, not
Yeah.
qualified usually. Okay, cool. I guess so. my affiliation with them, and since it wouldn't be feasible to say that it's at council level if it's just anyone.
And your
Um,
affiliation just makes it easier to find a city
yeah.
guard, like any
Okay.
city guard.
Okay.
And you can specify more about them if you want. Like if you want them to have been to the council before, that just increases the circle's difficulty. But the affiliation
Yeah.
just helps you find city guard.
Okay.
I guess it depends how close your affiliation is. Then, do you feel like it's very minor, or do you feel like it's more substantial?
That's a
I
good
think you have.
question. I
Let's see.
think
Yeah, where?
it cost me 10, and I feel like that's
I think that's minor.
yeah, because we said, oh, it's just one city. Like, there's no reason. Because when you go up to moderate, it talks about that being for like a regional affiliation. Okay, so they just know me from military engineering things.
And I
You've
mean,
been around.
you were a page too, so I mean,
Yeah,
there's connections
right.
there as well.
I mean, I don't. What are? I agree that something's afoot, Mia, but what? Something at the school. Maybe it's something we should just keep quiet about for now.
We're not going around shouting it everywhere. I mean,
Certainly not.
but if we're at the school, which is casting spells on us without us knowing, maybe we shouldn't stay at the school the whole time?
Well, I don't actually stay at the school.
Well, that's fine and dandy. But we need to start figuring out information. So we can either start at the school, or we can maybe start at this guardsman that you know, or someone you know within the guard. They seem like they might have information. They get around the city often.
Yeah, I would say divide and conquer, but unfortunately, you're very new.
There's a high chance I will get lost. This is correct.
There's that. Yeah. You know what? Let's go see if a couple of buddies of mine from when I was a page are out and about, like on their normal beat.
Okay, lead.
Okay, cool. And so I guess there would have been. I'm gonna completely world build here for a sec.
Uh-huh.
We would have been in teeny tiny dormitories of like 4 or 5 boys each.
Yeah.
And so I was really close with my little pod.
Uh-huh.
And I want to say I dropped out because of magic, and one of the other ones dropped out because it was too hard. But then 3 of them went on to be, I guess, either city guards or knights proper. And all 5 of us are like not close, but outside of people know me because I do military engineering things. Those would be like these are the people who I have a direct affiliation with.
Mm-hmm.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can specifically say like I want to find this guy in the city guard, and then as long as you make your circles test, you get to name him and tell me stuff about him. So
yeah,
they become a real
cool.
boy.
Yeah.
Then they become a real boy. I want to find one of these imaginary boys.
Okay.
Out and about on his patrol.
I don't think we have time for another scene if we want to end by 9. So we'll pick up there in 2 weeks. We'll go talk to the city guard. And we can do wrap up.
Cool.
So in terms of how to get Artha, Fate, Persona, and Deeds, let me flip to that. Just so I can read it straight from the book.
It's also under Artha in the stats and skills of the Roll20 character sheet. For anyone who doesn't have a book.
And on page 47 and 69. 47 is useless.
You said 47 and 60?
Yeah, 69.
Oh.
Yeah, so earning Artha, if you drove the game forward with a belief, you get a fate. If you played an instinct that made your life difficult, you get a fate. If you invoke a trait that sends the story in an unforeseen direction, you get a fate. And then some other things. If you... Let's see. If you complete a belief, you get a persona. Those are the main ones. And then there's other ones. If people feel like they want to give embodiment or workhorse or MVP, you can. And we can talk about that. But it's up to you.
I feel like we're still getting into our characters.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
maybe embodiment isn't a great one, and I don't feel like workhorse or MVP really apply yet either.
Yeah,
I think mainly
agree.
we're going to be looking at fate points for this.
Yeah,
first
I
one.
agree. I don't think anybody actually completed a belief.
Nope, not even close.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Well, wait, no. What was my? Yeah, I must find help. I tried to find help.
Yeah. So you definitely, I mean, you get a fate for that. Because you worked towards that belief.
Yeah.
So I'll give you one there.
Woo!
Nice.
I'm going to move these over here so we have room.
I've been trying to speak and I realized I muted myself. So
Oh
it's
no.
Oh no.
Did I determine if Mia was useful or not, or toward that?
I think you worked toward that. I don't think you know for sure yet. Unless you
Okay.
disagree. Sean,
don't
do
feel
you
strongly
think
either way.
that he knows for sure?
Well, it depends what you consider useful to be, because I'm currently the only person who can talk about the headmistress
Oh,
being
that
missing.
is true.
That is true. That's very true.
That is so useful. Okay, yeah. That's fine.
So I did complete that one?
Yep, that works.
Woo!
Nice.
Look at him.
Look at picking
fair.
easy little...
It
that's
wouldn't
fine, I
have
think
been so easy if Mia had not been the only one to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding. I don't.
Clutch illusion.
I don't think I know if Venus is another ambitious ladder climber.
Mm-mm.
Do I know that yet?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done anything that's like really stood out to you. Like
I don't think he's done anything that stood out to me.
as a like charismatic leader.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So far he's like proceeded to ignore another person and
Yeah.
cast spells to mess with other people. So
True. It's very true.
But
Well, okay. Did I use... I guess I didn't wind up using rabble rouser, so never mind.
right.
Sad.
But you kind of did the order. I mean, you played to the order trait, or was that a trait or just
No,
instinct?
That isn't... despising disorder is what I condensed my instinct down to, instead of order is the best, the divine architect is above all. Yeah, I compressed a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. And the instinct or the trait one, they have to take things in a new direction. Which is
The
annoying.
trait one, it has to be a new direction. The instinct one has to make your life difficult.
Yeah, that didn't happen. All right.
Do we think that counts for my hasty exit from the fortune tellers?
Wait, what's the instinct?
It made life easier.
Or no, not the instinct. The gosh. Well, I used my trait vitriolic, or I was trying to. Oh, it doesn't send it in a new direction. Okay, never mind.
I mean,
I would say it did.
I would say it did too.
Okay.
Like, you can no longer use your person to get it because you screamed at her.
Or I can try, but she doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. There's
Oh my god, you have 4 fate. Jesus.
So much
Racking
going
them
on
up.
I
They're
do
like
think,
not
Alphonse,
as
that you
useful.
worked towards your get to know Venus. Find out if you have another ambitious person to climb the ladder with. Because you purposely like stuck with him and like were asking questions and like
there.
trying to understand his relationship with Ezra and like all this stuff. So I think you get a
We'll get there.
fate for that.
Oh, okay. Wow. It's exciting.
Let's see, I definitely did not find a knowledgeable ally. And
It's true.
definitely
though.
have not started to convince Ezra.
No, you did not start.
No.
We ignored that poor guy.
I feel so bad for him.
He's fine.
Poor soul.
He doesn't exist.
He exists in our hearts,
In our hearts.
in our minds.
Not Venus's heart, though.
Yeah.
Venus cares about
He
him.
does. He's lover number 2.
I just
We
wanna
haven't
know
even
how
met
number
number
one.
one.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you to meet Delfino. He is quite the character.
I love
Okay.
Delphino.
All right. Well, I think that covers it for the most part.
Yeah. Definitely have yet to be like, oh, I need to play towards these beliefs.
Mhm. Yeah. Or mine, I think I want to play more toward the traits that I already have written down.
Yeah.
The instincts, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
And the traits, I mean, they have to send the story in an unforeseen direction. So if you play them up and, like, completely swivel how the game's going, that's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it. We'll get there. It's
Well,
just keeping track of them all because there's lots.
there's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. I think, so Venus needs a new belief for next session.
Yes. And I think I'm going
That's
to change
exciting.
my first one as well, so.
And then if people want to change instincts or beliefs, you can do that between sessions. So if you come to the table with something new next session, then we'll just go from there.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Thanks for the session, guys. It was super fun.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us. We had a great time. And we will be back in 2 weeks, so March 27th for episode 2. See you then.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Bye.